Record.
Good evening. This is the Elliott Wave update for the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P 500 for Wednesday, January the 3rd, 2024. I am going to start here on the NASDAQ, and you're going to notice immediately that I've made some changes. Those changes are not put in place just yet, but I want to present an alternate count because of the depth that this, what I'm still looking at basically as a possible minute fourth wave. Now, this count that I'm presenting is valid, and so is actually the preferred count that I'm using, which would be that it's a minute fourth wave coming down. And I'll explain why. So let me just get into the alternate. And the reason I'm presenting this is because things are lining up in some of the other exchanges. For example, in the Russell today, the Russell just kind of nosedived 52 points. That's quite a drop in the Russell. And so, for example, the NASDAQ dropped 1%, whereas the Russell ended up dropping 2.6% today. So it's going down a lot faster. And again, I'm marking the Russell as having completed that primary B wave. And again, here as well, I was allowing that this was going to be, I believe it was going, yes, it was going to be like, this was minor 3 and this is a minor 4, still not breaking any of the rules in terms of that, because this would be minor 1, 2, and then this would have been all part of 3. But the depth and the steepness of this pullback in the Russell is beginning to really kind of toss the swinging the scales more towards it's done. And it's now beginning a primary C wave, which will consist of 5 waves of intermediate degree. Now that's the Russell. And again, on the 4-hour chart, it's gotten to pretty extreme oversold. So we'd be looking for a bounce there, and we'll see how it happens. Now that's the Russell. I'm going to go back to the NASDAQ now. The NASDAQ as well has seen some pretty steady, hard declines. So leaving the A wave where it was, let me just go out one. Sorry about that. So wave A, primary wave A, again, was at the October 2022 lows. Then we had intermediate A, intermediate wave B, and then we started on an intermediate C wave basically in December of 2022 is when we began to rally. The bulk of this, not the bulk of the rally, but the bulk of the hype of a new bull market and where we had several triggers in terms of that Zweig breadth thrust indicator came in November of 2023. So from October of 2023, from that low is where we began to put in, which I continued to label as a minor fifth wave to complete the intermediate C wave, and then in turn, the primary B wave. Now that's off the daily. So that part of the count has not changed. Now I'm going to come down to looking inside this this minor wave 5. And that's what we have here. So again, I have left, so minor 5 is going to consist of 5 waves of minute degree. Minute wave 1 remains the extended wave. But minute wave 3 is not the shortest. Minute wave 5 would be. So no rules are being broken. Now, what we have going on outside of that is that I placed the 3 here. And actually, on my preferred count, it's remaining there. I'm going to continue to view this as a possible completion point for minute wave 4. I know what it says there, but just go through this count with me the alternate count. And the reason I'm presenting it now, because there's a high probability that it just continues to roll over. And if that is the case, then I would suspect that we will violate the rule by it going beyond 16,381. Now, we closed just at 16,534. We dipped below the 50%, and I believe got close to the 618%. And I'll put that back up in just a moment. But let's take a look. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a minute degree, completing the minor fifth wave, the intermediate C wave, and the primary B wave. Now, that being the case, then what we are following in through on would be the initial stages of the start of a primary C wave down. That primary C wave will consist of 5 waves of intermediate degree. So we would be in intermediate wave 1, which is already, I would say we're within minor wave 1 of intermediate wave 1, and it's already breaking down. Now, but having said that, I've got 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if the market, I'm just presenting this today, I'm actually going to reconvert it back out, but the fibs fit in terms of this small minuet with wave 5, and I can bring it down. I want to show you how it fits. We got 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to complete what I'm labeling here under the alternate as minute wave 3 of minor wave 1 down. So what the fibs fit very cleanly in that, in measuring out wave 5, it did really just pop right to the 100% level. And that's the most common for a wave 5 when it's compared to wave 1, that they're equal, and it was. And so, yep, it dipped just below that level, getting down to 16,522, I believe the low was. Yep, 22. And then ended up closing at, I think it was 30, or maybe a little bit higher. 42.75 is where the close was. So this would be the alternate view. If we continue, we rally a little bit in a fourth wave, which maybe will come up into here, and then turn around and slide again, then I think it's, the NASDAQ ends down 177. From this level, if we were to drop 177 points, we're going to start to break that 16,300 area where minute wave 1 sits. And then this cannot be a fourth wave. So that's why I'm presenting this. Now, let me remove this and change this. And I'll leave that as it is for right now. But I'm going to change this back to the other count in terms of where we are if it is a minute wave 4. So I'm changing this around just a little bit to show you before I had put wave A here and wave B there. So that part I'm changing. And that change really cleans up a little bit of a mess in a way in terms of what is going on. So A, B, and then this would break down again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But down here, instead of this is going to be a C wave. And I know that I got to change the others in terms of the count itself. But let me just kind of put this in. It's not a minute. It is a minuet. So then this changes just in, so we can just get it together real quick and show you in degree. We're just going to go down to a sub. So I'll change the color so that makes it easy. People don't get confused here. that we can see that it is an ABC down. So, and if that's the case, and we start to rally tomorrow, then the preferred count, which again remains intact, would suggest that we start to rally with some intensity. Now that's the gig, that if the market truly is done here, then we need to start to rally and pick up the pace to the upside. Thus far, all rallies are met with another hard down. In fact, we might pick it up towards the close like we did yesterday and the day before, and then overnight they start to drop it more strongly. And then again, like last night, we came in this morning and the market was already down substantially. So again, that could happen. We get a rally, but then it comes back down again. But right now, I'm going to leave it as such. And if I put this C wave, let me just activate this and put this up there, then what I'm putting underneath here is the minute wave 4. So, man, I'm going to edit this, and I'm switching it back so that we can see it as is. The problem with me doing my own count, I would by hand, like I do, everything has to come off all by itself. So this would be removed. This goes back over here. This was going to be right there, so I can take that out. And this is removed, as is that, as is that. So the rest of it I can fix in a moment. We can see now that it's minute wave 3, minute wave 4. And again, I'm going to bring this back out to the 4-hour chart so that we can see it at this level. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Not necessarily drifting into any problem areas. So we will be checking this out and following it closely in tomorrow for continued developments. Now, if it is complete, then I'm looking for it to rally and to rally back above this 8, to rally back above the 100. I'm looking for the 200 to hold, which currently sits at 16,500. I'm looking for it to hold. If it starts to break, we should start to accelerate. That's the 4-hour 200. But I'm going to leave it just as it is right now. Okay, so the alternate count suggests that this is all done and that we're 1, 2, 3, we get a little wave 4, we come down into 5, and we're starting to complete 5 waves down. So we will go with all of that. In any case, let me go over and look at the S&P. But I wanted to show you that, and I hope I'm not confusing people. And I'm going to take a look at the S&P. Now, the S&P left alone. Now, again, here we're in that intermediate C wave. And within that, we have completed minor waves 1, 2, and 3. So we're in a minor 4. Now, here as well, this is a little bit more difficult. But again, I could do 1, 2, right? Or, AB in a minor degree, or minute degree, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and actually put it in and call it a minor 4. We got down to that low and exceeded it, and touched, for all intents and purposes, basically almost touched 0.236, which would be the minimum. So again, things are kind of lining up where we could turn and really begin to rally with some strength. And then that would complete our moves. So again, if I change these into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I can put that 4 down here, which would suggest we're going to start to rally. And again, what's it going to be? We pick it up pretty quickly, get ourselves back above the 100 and the 8, which would give us a nice little thrust, and then break above the 50 and the 20 and give us another big thrust. See, they're just kind of sitting on top of one another. What I don't want to see is for it to come back down. Again, it would be a stronger drop from where we are. But if it starts breaking down here on its way to here and breaks that 200, the 4-hour 200, not a good thing. Not a good thing. That's not something I would be looking for. So again, I'm going to leave these in place because I'd have to move this down for this to be the alternate and this to be the completion point. The minor 3 would have to be here. And this would be minor 4, and that would be minor 5, and then that would be the intermediate C wave, and the primary B wave would sit right here. Same as in the NASDAQ. But I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to the market, getting it together, flipping back around, and starting to rally. Continued decline, you've now got a better picture of what's going on. And let me just double check, because I know we have some additional numbers, I believe, coming out tomorrow. On Thursday, we have ADP Employment, which we know can, really jar the market either way. Then we have initial jobless claims. And then we have the S&P final U.S. Services PMI. All right, that's going to be it for today. Our next update will be on Thursday, January the 4th.